Okay, we are recording. And so now what we've seen me start to adapt the fundamentals in my drawing. So now I'm going to do gestures. I'm going to start off with doing stick figure gestures just because that's the way which I'll be able to do the gestures justice, because at the moment my construction art's reasonably average, but that's fine, especially for where I'm at. So now gestures is going to be the one which give me the most emphasis for what I'm trying to do. So you'll be able to see me. There's a lovely YouTube video that I learnt that from, and much appreciated. I'm just going out and seeing what kind of art styles I like, and then look, I'll pick someone, and whether or not I like their art style is a different story, but I figure I'll be able to learn from them. So that's where I'm up to with my drawing. Enjoy. Whereas for business, one of the things that's very passionate to me is MVP. So you've heard me talk about it before. It's called a minimum viable product. And what that means is that can actually mean a lot depending upon where you're up to with your business. So there's a really good book called The Lean Startup, and that's where I first learned about MVPs. Another really good thing that I did was it's called Startup Weekends, and that was absolutely amazing. That was really good because that evolved around having an MVP, taking it to market, seeing what people thought of it, and then refining it so that you could get money from people. So that was absolutely amazing. So Lean Startup and Startup Weekend are really good places to immerse yourself in that MVP environment. So what it is if you want to create something, anything, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. You can firstly build a prototype, take it to market, see what people want. Or you could build a prototype, mass make it, then take it to market, see what people think of it. However, that approach puts a lot of exposure on you because there's no guarantee that people will like that original prototype and people will adopt it. So that could mean that you're left with a lot of stock which no one actually wants, which can sink your business. The other idea that you can do is you can build the prototype, take it out, refine it, then take the other prototype that you've refined and adjusted all the bugs, and then take that out. And you can infinitely do that and never actually hit the market because you're scared of taking that final plunge. And look, a lot of people have done that, and I'm sure a lot more will. But the beauty of a minimum viable product is in what it is. And what it is will vary from person to person. So what that means is my minimum viable product will be different to your minimum viable product, will be different to my friend's minimum viable product. So the way that I like to run things is very lean with minimal costs. The reason for that is because I don't have a lot of money to sink into businesses currently. So I need to go after businesses which will generate high margin and low cost of entry. Now, the disadvantage with low cost of entry is it means that a lot of other people can quickly and easily get in if there is any kind of market adoption. The other thing as well is that unless you have something unique like your mind or the way that you do something that makes it harder for others to copy, a minimum viable product means that others can copy it. So there is some advantage in pushing back your minimum viable product if you think that is going to be an issue. I mean, realistically, not many people care about your idea. I mean, I know it sucks to say that, but if you ever try to get anyone to work on your idea, you will see how hard it is to get someone to commit their time to an idea. So if someone does feel the need to go out and take your idea, then it's kind of a compliment because it means that it's worth stealing. In saying that, look at what your minimum viable product is. I like the extreme where I would love to build something without actually having it cost anything, just by using things around the house. Otherwise, maximum maybe $100 or $200. However, there's other people that I know who their minimum viable product would be a lot more. Now, they have more dispensable cash, yes. However, I try to run my costs low. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to both, and that is what it is. The one thing that you have got to be careful of, though, is survivorship bias. So, what I mean by survivorship bias is just because you're looking at every single startup that's still around, that's out there, you can look at them, you can be like, oh, so these companies survived because they did this, and so we have to do that. Now, that could have been a product of the times, and so if you do emulate them, it may actually get you in a lot of trouble because it means that you're not actually aware of what the circumstances that it were currently at the time. So a perfect example would be if you were to look at some of the crypto markets, and if you were to look at them in December of 2017, there was a big massive spike around December of 2017 where everyone wanted to get in because Bitcoin went up to $20,000 and then it came crashing down. So if you were to just look at the companies that were getting investment in that December market, and if you were to say, oh, they went out and they approached these people and this was their exact pitch, so it's got to work with everyone, then if you look at it, if the crypto market crashes or if it wildly takes off, there may be a bit of maturity to the market or it may be dead. If there's a bit of maturity to the market, it means that the gung-ho throw money at the wall and hope that it sticks isn't going to work anymore. So just because those companies may or may not be able to weather what actually happened, it was a circumstance around it of having a big massive peak and then a massive crash. Other examples would be the real estate boom, the dot-com bubble. So you have to look and be aware of why companies were getting what they were getting and how they were able to get it. So you look at it now and you can see that there are some companies which are just going out of business left, right and centre, and it means that just because of the lessons of what they were doing, yes, you want to be aware of what they were. Yes, you probably want to do case studies on them to see what you can do. But at the same time, you have to look at the circumstances around them to get a full picture to make sure that your pitch deck, when you do go for funding or when you do go to sell your business or when you do go to just acquire customers, anything, that you're relevant. Because if you go out using outdated modes purely because it's what Google did, it's what Facebook did, this is the same pitch deck that Dropbox used, I'm telling you, things will change in 10 years. And if you're using outdated plays, people have seen it, not just from you, but people have seen it from everyone else before, and the people before that, and the generation before that, and it gets tired and stale. So make sure you try to look beyond survivorship bias. For you know, there's a company that could have gone broke and it was just under extreme circumstances, but they may have had the best play and it was just through unforeseen circumstances that they had to fold. Not every good company that dies, or not every company that dies because it was a bad business. There can be a lot of external circumstances around it. Like if a parent company goes into liquidation, then a subsidiary will be forced into liquidation as well, potentially, if there's not enough to sell off or if there's not enough to actually do it. So this is just something that you have to take into consideration, is build your minimum viable product, see how it stacks up. Most importantly, talk to your customers. If you talk to your customers, you get rid of all these flaws. People don't like to talk to their customers because it's scary, and it means that that idea that they've been working on for 3 months, you're going to have to throw it out and start again because no one actually really cares about that idea. So what I'm trying to say is build a minimum viable product, test it with your customers, take into consideration survivorship bias, but don't let it weigh you down. If with 80-20 rule, you'd actually ignore that, but it is worth considering because it is something which it's easy to see the companies which are just left alive and not the ones which were, and what the sentiment of the market was back then. So if you can do all these, it will give you a good chance of helping your company come along, and it'll give you a good chance of helping your company see where everything is. So, you know what your minimum viable product is. Get out there and make it. Let's start making money. Start